So you saw a lot with Rabine Paving America, and then you just saw something. It's like, I think I see a blue ocean opportunity over here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah. So it was in Rabine Paving America. We had a client that one of the largest retailers in the world that had called us up, and they wanted just like general information about their parking lot. So they were going to pay us to go out, and they had a list of like 300 properties to go out and just tell them how many parking stalls they had, count the signage, count the trash cans, and then also do a condition of the pavement. And the condition of the pavement was one thing, but it was amazing to me that this company didn't have that information in a database or somewhere for them to grab. That they didn't have this like very basic information about their property. So around that same time, a friend of my dad and I's had called us, who runs a venture fund, and they were looking at a drone company. And so it was like me and Olivia, who was on the team, and she's on the site team now, Dan, who is currently running RPA, and then Katie, that started to kind of test out this drone technology, and realized that there was a network of thousands of drone pilots throughout the United States. And really, we obviously knew about drones and knew what they were and knew that they took great images and all of these things, but I don't think that we really realized like how far the technology had come and what the output of the drone imagery and capture really was until we saw it. So we started to test with a drone company. We'd send out a drone, send out a project manager as well to a property that needed to be scoped for their pavements. And then we would compare it. We'd say, okay, here's what the project manager came back with. Here's what the drone came back with. And then we would tweak the drone. We call it a drone recipe or flight plan. And what we found was like at first, we started to play with the elevations a lot because just the typical capture that people are used to wasn't enough information for us to be able to scope off of. Like it was cool, you could see the condition, but you couldn't really like look at it and say, okay, this pavement needs to be removed and replaced, or crack sealed or anything like that. So we spent a lot of time, probably 6 months, just tweaking the flight plan. And that's something that we still work on today. Like we're always trying to figure out a better way that we can fly a property to get better information. So within Rabine, we started to tweak this and got it to a point where we were confident that we knew that our team could scope from the drone imagery that we were capturing. And that's kind of when my dad and I started talking more about the opportunity that we saw in the market for like people with a lot of properties throughout the United States not having information kind of aggregated, like an aggregated source of information for all of their parking lots, but also just buildings in general. So, a lot of companies that, let's say they own 200 properties all throughout the U.S., they might send out a paving contractor to go scope it and look at it, and then they might have, but they might just have the operations manager on site that doesn't really know a lot about pavement, calling them and saying, hey, this is what we need done. So there just wasn't a good way to kind of sort through that information.
And always many different opinions and different people, engineers, contractors, property managers, all different people scoping and figuring it out instead of one consistent.
Yep. Yeah.
Let me say one thing though too is Austin, more modest than I am, right? Wouldn't talk about a lot of things, but when it comes to this, when he really looked into this, engineers, civil engineers and pavement engineers that are on our team, myself, we're old school guys. We gained our customers' trust by going out there with their engineers and telling them what they got, tell them the budgets they should be thinking about, 5 years ahead. Mm-hmm. So we did this for the last 20 some years. We've had expertise that we've given our customers, the big retailers, industrial building owners, distribution center owners, big corporations that have a lot of property. We've been giving away engineering to them to say, we want to help you understand your pavements and your roofs, and we want to help you manage them better with our engineers. We're going to give them to you, right? We've tried to find the best engineers we can find for them. That helped, and that grew our relationships nationally because it was the razor that sold the razor blades, right? Yeah. So that was great. But what Austin found out was, we're spending a lot of money flying engineers and project managers around the country to be able to develop these scopes and the 5-year plans and all that. And man, we're spending a ton of money. You know, we came up with a number, I forget what it was, $1 million or more, and that we're spending every year. So, you know, if we can make this work with drone pilots across the country, we can save all this travel, this hotel, the meals, all this stuff, and have our engineers in our office getting stuff done. So, I mean, we all kind of looked and said, yeah, that's great, Austin. You know, maybe we can do that, but I'm sure we're going to need these boots on the ground. We're going to have boots on the ground. He said, we'll see, but I don't think maybe not, right? So sure enough, it took about 6 months before Austin, they built the program, built the scripts that came back and said, all of us had to say, oh my gosh, this is, you know, no reason you have to go to that job. Those pictures, that detail is better than us walking in those properties, right?
Yeah.
So that was when we knew we had a product. And I think right after that, you know, our biggest customers are saying, oh, this is cool, this is great. And then I don't know how many months was it before that turned into I'm probably missing some stuff there, Austin, but how long was it after that it became a business where you and I talked about, man, let's just probably got to spin this out in a separate entity because it's a little different and it's a separate product now.
I think it was probably 6 or 7 months that it was like within Rabine Paving America, and then
doing his own thing,
and then to spinning it out as a separate business.
So basically this technology with the drones, AI, and all the stuff we're doing today, it's really an old technology. All the subject matter expertise stuff that we've been doing for 25 years, right? So that's all been built into this, right? So that expertise in the back end in roofing and paving has been a godsend, as well as the relationships we've gained with these customers where they trusted us to try this and customize a program for them, right?
So who are some of the customers that you get, if you can share that on?
I'll get to that, but I want to say one thing. So like my dad was saying, we had been doing this for 20 years, and it allowed us to build relationships, but the old school way of boots on the ground, and then also the output was a PDF report and an Excel document with this information. So it had some images, it had some measurements, an executive summary, and which was really good. I mean, even when you look at it, I was just showing Karen yesterday, and she's like, wow, that looks really nice. And it does. It looks like a nice report that's put together for our clients, but that information, you can't do anything with it. You can take it, put it into Excel and kind of play with it, but it's static information because it's on a PDF, so there's not a lot that you can do. So we're getting all of this data and information, but not really doing much with it, or at least not maximizing the potential. Some facilities owners or engineers would look at it once, put it in the file and look at it when they need to. Yep. Some would never look at it after they threw their file, right? Yeah. So
compared to now.
Yeah. So they would, and clients would have us do this every 5 years, let's say. So after 1 or 2 years, they have this report that essentially for the next 3 years isn't very useful because their operations change, their budgets change, a lot of things change with a business in that time period. So there wasn't like an update going on. So it was good as an initial report, and they would use it to kind of come up with a general plan. But because of the costs and because of the time that it took to put together, they couldn't do it on an annual basis or a regular basis. So the drone networks allowed this opportunity for us to get information fast and more inexpensive or less expensive than ever before, because we were using local pilots to fly these properties. So that first year, that first 6 months within Rabine Paving America, I think that we did what did we say, like about 100 assessments, and then the first year that we created it as its own business, which was January of last year, 2018. We did about 600 assessments. That's awesome. And then this year we'll probably do about 3,000 properties. Wow. So there's and I think that one of the cool case studies that we talk a lot about is we show a graph of prior to site and kind of how we did it the old school way and how we're doing it today. And the old school way, we had a client we were doing it every 5 years, and I think it was like 35 facilities all throughout the United States, and it was a few thousand data points, right? So images, measurements, pricing, a few thousand points of data, and it would take 7 or 8 months to put together these reports.
7 or 8 months for 35 properties.
For 35 properties, yeah, and then just this year, we did just over 800 properties in 60 days, and we had over 1 million data points of images, videos, measurements, budget items, yeah, and we did it for half the price of
So the difference to you is this: faster, way better information, way more complete, and way less money.
Yeah.
So it's when you get it, so faster was the biggest thing, because we would only do the properties for these customers that were a pain in the butt for them, right?
Yeah.
We didn't do all their properties because we could never get to them, and engineering companies couldn't do them all. They'd have to put 10 companies like us and engineers together to get them all done in a year, like a big distribution center owner that owns 150 distribution centers. They'd need a bunch of us.
Yeah.
And we probably still wouldn't get done in a year or two, and all the information would be different by different engineering standards and all that. Now they have one source with site. Some of these big ones, they're doing 100% of them, way faster, way less money. Probably 20% of the old cost, maybe 10% of the old cost.
Yeah.
All right, and only about 2,000% faster, probably. I'm guessing 20 times faster. So that's the difference of technology.
Yep.
So how were you able to get your customers to buy into doing something different? Because I think that might be. I think that's a really good question for people who have businesses out there and they're trying to get customers to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Yeah, I think. So there was always, now is a little bit different from when we first started. I think when we first started, we ran into a lot where kind of the same challenge that we had internally of getting people to bought into the fact that you can, look at a facility and come up with a condition and scope of work from the drone imagery. That's I think been the biggest thing when we sit down with them. They're like, well, we're being told that you still need boots on the ground, or you need somebody walking the parking lot or walking the roof, and even right from the start, we had some good information because we kind of started to do it without asking some of the customers. We just fly it and have a project manager walk it. So we had information and we had a product that we could kind of show them and say, hey, this is what we're seeing. And so we could show them, we pull up the computer, show them exactly what we're seeing, zoom in, and one of our clients had like a 3 million square foot distribution center and wanted to zoom in and find a penny on the ground that he knew was there.
He set it up, right?
Yeah.
He said he put a penny somewhere in the parking lot.
And he wanted to find it, and he did. So the information's is incredible that we're able to capture. So that, I think, has been initially the first kind of roadblock that we have to get through. And then the next one is not all of our clients are used to paying for pavement assessment. So that's another one that we need to work through with them. And it's very, it's not easy to do because it's obviously an additional cost that they need to look at. But if they're using the information properly and our recommendations that we're making, then they should be saving money on either saving money on their pavement spend or doing more pavement because of the information that we're giving them. So that's one. They can there's a lot of different ways that they can bundle some of these projects now with contractors and be able to give more work, bulk work to contractors to get better pricing. So there's different ways that we can justify that cost and say, it might cost you X to get this done, but this is the information, this is what you're going to get from it, and then here's also some of the savings that you'll see because of this information.
And what I like a lot is I'm very confident being in this business for as long as I have that I go to, year after year, I go to look at a parking lot, or our team look at a roof, and they know that the failure that happened is only 6 months old or a year old by another contractor, right?
Yeah.
And you look at it and say, man, that's definitely covered, but they don't even know who did it.
Right.
They don't know who did the work 6 months ago. The property manager might have changed, right? And that old property manager had all information, and then maybe didn't get a warranty even, right? So they wouldn't even got anything if they knew that it was only done 6 months ago. Maybe they didn't have a warranty anyway. So what we can do, what Austin's doing right now on his team, is they can tie warranties, GIS stamping of the work that's done, so they know exactly what was done, specifications where that work was done, and who did it, and what's the warranty. So I'm very confident that just the warranty system alone and getting people to come back and redo work that was done bad is going to save a huge part of their budget, right? Because if you can save, let's say, I believe it's 10 or 15% of the work that's done is done under standards, right? Especially when you're just hiring anybody close to get a job done fast, roofing or paving. So if you can hold people to solid standards, right, with better warranties, it's a huge win. So that's something I think is a big ROI in this as well. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, we just came across that recently. We did, it was the first year that we were doing this property, so we didn't have like the historical data yet, and our team had scoped it out, created a condition, and one of the repairs that we were calling out for, I think it was next year, you know, we talked to the property manager, and they were like, you know, this was just done, you know, last season. This was just paved, removed, and replaced. And I was like, well, you know, if that's the case, like, you might want to talk to your contractor because it's failing in a way that it shouldn't be failing after 1 year. You know, you're going to see some cracks or something, but there's, you know, this failure was much more significant than. Wow. So that kind of.
Were you able to capitalize on that and get the contractor to cover that?
Yeah.
Good deal.
So.
It's
you're
stuff
being
like
the
paver saver.
Yeah.
Look at that.
There you go. I like that.
Well, I don't know if you saved that paver.
Yeah.
The paver wasn't too happy, probably.
Yeah. But yeah. So, and then, you know, now we're doing much more than just pavements, right? Because we've built flight plans to capture roofs, facades, landscaping. We actually just did it was like an 80-story building downtown, did a facade capture for a general contractor to do a punch list on. So there's a ton of opportunity, and not just pavement, right? That's where it started, and that was the most natural kind of progression of how we were talking to our clients, because that's how they knew us. But now that we have this information, there's so much more that we can do with it.
So one message I want to make sure that gets clear, and Austin, I know you feel it, but we don't talk about that much, is you mentioned the customers we work for, right? We're blessed that over these years we've gained customer confidence and great relationships with some of the best customers you can have in the world, right? We're so fortunate to have. We have customers that have, over the years, done experimentation and R&D with us on pavements, like Exelon. Exelon's done amazing stuff with us where they'll trust us and say, okay, Rabine, you got this new product, go ahead and try it, and as long as you warranty it, we want you to go ahead and do it, right? We've tried out 10 or 20 different types of pavements on their properties. Most have worked out, some have not, right? So in my opinion, some of the most exciting stuff is when you build a business, the trust you gain with great people is one of the most valuable assets, because we've done a lot of innovative things with great customers like Exelon over the years, where we've done pervious pavement, we've done concrete overlays, RCC, all different things that they'd never heard of before, right? That we were doing R&D on their properties with them, right? Over that time, we built relationships of trust with them where they know that, hey, if it fails, we're going to make it right. So they'll try things with us. So it's easy to bring Austin in. They trust our business, our name, right? And then they meet Austin and his team, who's very passionate, and they say, yeah, we'll try it, right? So we'll be constantly doing things with Site to really change this industry because of great relationships with great customers. So never minimize the value of a relationship, right? Never burn a relationship with a good customer, and never devalue or never not appreciate enough great customers. So, Walmart is one of these, right? They're amazing. In fact, they allow us to kind of test things and build things customized for them on their properties. We're doing it with concrete pavements. We're doing it with Site. Austin can name a bunch of great customers, right?
Yep. Yeah, Prologis
and Brookfield, right?
Yep. Prologis, Brookfield, Home Depot, a couple different REITs that we work with. And like my dad's saying, it's given us the opportunity to, they want to meet with us and they want to sit down. I mean, we have weekly calls with some of these clients just because they want to, they want to look at a property and then have us run a few reports and get back to them and come up with different ways of modeling, how they're going to spend their money over the next 5 years. Or if they spend this, then what happens the next 5 years to their budget? If they don't spend it, what does that do?
But the cool thing is with what Austin's doing, it's way more exciting than pavements, right? It takes a lot of salesmanship.
I didn't want to say that because
it takes a lot of salesmanship for me to get Walmart to try a new pavement, right? With their engineering teams and everything else. Exelon, all these guys, it takes a lot more salesmanship, and I'm not that good of a salesman, but we have some good salespeople here. But it takes a long time, and then it takes years of trust. When I was your age, Q and Austin, I don't care how hard I tried and how much I really love my business. Right, it was hard for me to sell me at 32 years old, 33 years old, to them that I could represent my product like the next company, right? So the beautiful thing of business, if you can build solid relationships of trust, is it's when you get to be my age and you've been doing this for 38 years now, you've got a lot of great relationships where people say, Rabine, you're bringing this to us. We trust that you're gonna work hard to get it done. Yeah, what is this product, right? But with technology and what Austin's doing, they're more excited than I am. I mean, I can actually, as tough as it is, be quiet in the room, and my customers will sell the product more than me, right? And Austin's find that too. That Austin's a good salesman because he represents the product amazingly. But a lot of times you get the customers like loving the product so much they're selling it for you, right? Yeah. And technology, and when you're leading an industry, and this is a cutting edge industry that we're leading at this point in the space we're in. Austin is, and his team is amazing, right? But you still better perform every day. You better do what you're going to say. You better never breach that trust with them, right? Because it took us all this time to gain it. So we're doing a great job with that.
Yeah, and like he was saying, we've been able to, because it is something that our clients like to talk about and want to hear more about, and want to know what's coming next. So we find somebody that will be an advocate for site in the business, and then they love to sell it within their organization to their boss or the people that are working alongside them. So it's been cool because we have great people that are selling, but we've found an internal advocate for site at each one of these companies.
Yeah, you're right. Almost every company has somebody there that loves it so much they're selling for you more, right?
Yeah, and they'll say, hey, we've got this, because right now we're talking to mostly the property management teams, but all of these organizations have departments that we can help, right? Like risk and compliance, we can be a resource to them. Disaster, post-disaster inspections. We're looking at some lead stuff right now to help on the environmental side, and then also acquisitions. So when companies are purchasing portfolios of property, they can have us go out, because we can do it as fast as we can. We can go out and give them a recommendation on, hey, this is how much money you're going to need to spend if you buy this property to fix the parking lot or fix the roof or the facade.
After understanding their standards or their expectations, right?
Yeah.
Because they all have different expectations. Yep. Some want it to be their Class A properties. They better be Class A pavements and roofs, right? Some might be Class A properties, but they really want to maintain them to a B level. Yeah. So the key is for our subject matter experts and our team, right, at site, to understand what are their expectations, what type of level of structural integrity or aesthetics do you need to have on those facilities, right?
You so in 2017 you had 100. You said 100 roughly, and then you grew in 2018 500%, and then from 2018 numbers alone, you're going to grow another 500%. So with all of this amazing growth, the best question that I probably can have is, what are you learning?
I mean, I'm learning something every day. First, just a brand new industry. I've learned a ton about the technology that we're working with, and I think really the startup business model is a little bit different than running a paving company that's been around, or not running, but being involved in a paving company that's been around for RPA at that point was around for 10 years probably, but part of a group that's been around for over 35 years. Yeah. It's a very different, we're still part of the Rabine group, the company is, but it's, it's separate and much smaller and, much more of a startup than kind of an existing organization that you're working to grow and help organize and manage. But this is a lot scrappier. So everybody's having to, do job, we have somebody that's responsible for sales, but, he might be going in and doing a zone map if we need them to, or depending on what the workload is. So I think that's the biggest thing, just like learning to grow and build and kind of put things in place, put a foundation in place for a business to be able to grow and scale on. That's something.
So in Q, I know you've seen some of this around here, right? With you and Austin, Janelle, and the millennials, right? In the last 10 years, our culture has changed a lot. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I sometimes a little jealous. He's got an office down there that's they have a blast. They're having competition. They'll go out and they'll after they have a good day and they work long hours, they go out and do something fun, right? Mm-hmm. And Austin and you and our millennials have brought that to our businesses here, right? Where they have fun. And I think that's a huge thing today. I mean, the millennials and this next generation, the Zs, or what are they?
The Gen Z.
Z. I mean, they want to have fun, and I don't blame them, right? That should be something we talked about years ago, but we really didn't. It was you go to work, you get a check, and you bust your ass and do a great job, and you'll be taken care of, right? That was kind of the old days, right? Today it's no, man, it better be fun because they can go anywhere and bust their ass and be taken and have a job, right? Yeah. How do you make it more fun? And I think these guys, as you may have seen with Rabine America when you were there, and then now, create a fun environment.
So for some of these older listeners, how do you make it fun so they can implement some of that in their organization?
I mean, I think that it starts with building a culture, right? You can't do it overnight. You can't put a ping pong table in and everything's going to change and people are going to have fun. It takes some time, but I think that something that we try to build is a culture of, so it is fun, and the environment that we're in is like, we're not counting hours. We know what work needs to get done, and if people are getting it done and doing a good job, great. Then that's what we ask for, right? And I think that I find that at our office, we're in a WeWork right now. So that helps because it's just kind of a fun environment.
And that's an issue there, right, Q? We got about 40,000 square feet of open, nice office space in Schaumburg. In the Mecca of Schaumburg, Illinois, that we're not. I'm paying rent down there. I'm losing here. We own this building, right?
So we're right downtown, and it's. I think that our team and people enjoy a work-life balance, but also. There is that work-life balance, but it's also, I think, a lot more blended together now than it's ever been. Before it was, you go to work, you put in 40 hours, and you go home, and it was very separate. But I think today, people like to have a little bit more of a blend, and you create a better culture that way. I mean, we might be in the office from, we have one guy that might be in there till 2 a.m. and shows up, at 9 or 10 a.m., but he's there till 2 a.m. But he's loves what he's doing, and same thing with the whole team. We'll be there, and we might be working long hours, but we'll all take a break, and whether it's just in the room, kind of hang out and talk, or about fantasy football or whatever it might be, or there's a common area that we can go to and hang out. So it's just, I think it's more about that blend of work and personal life, right?
And you guys seem to schedule stuff afterward too, here and there. I'll go here. Let's hang out here. Let's do this. Or that.
We're downtown, so it's nice, and we can walk to a good pizza place right down the street in Chicago and hang out. And we on Tuesday we all got together. We went to Parlor Pizza to do our NFL fantasy draft.
Dude, that's all you got is pizza. We got 250 restaurants here, maybe 30 pizza places here in Schaumburg.
But it's Schaumburg.
All right, come on, you're on my side. You got to come here. You're on my side.
I do have to come here, but I'm a millennial, so I understand.
So we schedule stuff after work, and honestly, I mean, most of the people that everybody there is, I consider a good friend, and I would say half the team I'm usually hanging out with over the weekend, and then that turns into strategizing about business over a beer or something on Saturday, right? So it's just having that blend, I think, for me is something that I personally enjoy. Gotcha. And I think our team does too.
Okay. All right, cool, man. Awesome. Well, man, this was good. This was good. I guess we do always want to ask this one question to every guest that we have, which is, and you probably heard it before. I don't know why you're saying, we're in an amazing country. You just came from India, right? And as we always say, or even how Gary always puts it, do you think the type of business that you have and the work-life blend that you're able to put together, do you think it'll be able to be in any place outside of America?
I think that there's there's other countries that support that type of innovation and work-life blend. Definitely, thankful to be in the United States and be able to build this business here. It's, I don't think that there's anywhere that has the same kind of energy around innovation. And I mean, there's tech hubs and innovative hubs in different parts of the world, but I think in the U.S. it's, there's just more of an opportunity here, whether it's working with companies like Walmart or Prologis or Home Depot, those are headquartered here. So it's nice for us to be able to work with them. But I think that I think the answer is yes, but I think it makes it easier here, right? Like it's easier to innovate and build a business and work with your customers.
So the answer is, hell yeah, we're blessed to be born in America and run a business in America.
Yeah, we are. We're for sure blessed to be here and run a business here. But
no, then you look at GDP. I was measuring GDP across the globe, and I thought China was right with us. They're behind us again, right, by a lot. But again, look at GDP. All these big countries, much like India, Japan, countries that are our size or bigger, are way behind us GDP. So you think about that amount of 21 trillion or 20 trillion in GDP, right, is huge to be able to know that's in our market, right, that we can go after.
Yeah,
compared to the whole world, that's a big percentage of the world, right? So we're right in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Compared to if we're somewhere else, you have to access it from there.
Yeah, and we've, there's not a lot of competitors or there's nobody doing exactly what we're doing in this market. But we are, running up against people, and the majority of them are U.S. based. There's one in Germany. So there are companies that we're competing against that are in other parts of the world. But I think that, again, it allows a good opportunity for us to be here because we can sit face to face with them.
One question I would ask Austin, and you haven't talked about too much. Where do you see it going? What are the things that are coming down the road that are going to make this industry so crazy advanced? Right? What do you see? What are you guys investigating and learning, and what do you see that's being developed now that's going to change it all over again? Right?
Yeah. So one of the big things that we're starting to look at right now is how can we capture information on an interior of a building. So we're looking at different cameras and technologies that could allow us to do that. The thing that the reason that it's a little more difficult is mostly because of the drone network, right? This massive network of drone pilots makes it easy for us to capture information, and that doesn't exist on the interior of buildings yet. So that's something that we're constantly exploring, and I think that we have a few good ideas that we're going to test out in the next couple months. But also just drone technology in general. I mean, there's thermal cameras on drones that's great for roof inspections, and we're doing a lot of it, but it's still a little bit expensive and they're not as common in the market. So that's something that is starting to progress and become more accessible. We've talked about ground penetrating radar. That's something that we're looking into. There's LiDAR already, but that's also very expensive still. But we also don't.
So what do those do, Austin? I mean, I know ground penetrating radar is basically showing you different materials below the ground, pretty deep, right?
Yep.
All that kind of stuff.
Yep.
You explain a little bit of that, and then LiDAR. What does LiDAR do?
So LiDAR is it's like a radar that uses light, I believe. I'm not totally familiar with LiDAR, but it's just capturing more accurate data essentially. So elevations and so if we're doing a utility line inspection, measure sag in the lines, stuff like that. So we haven't tested LiDAR out yet, but we do a lot of thermal, so we also like to not necessarily say that we're a drone company. We use drones as a tool, and it's been a great tool for us, but we also use other sources of data to be able to assess facilities. So satellite imagery, in some cases we'll look at historical satellite imagery to be able to see how something has changed over time, which I think that's something that we're always keeping our eye on, that is going to get better and better. There's some places where we can't fly because of FAA regulations, so it might be too close to an airport or a military base or something like that. So we use 360 cameras, and we'll have somebody go out and walk the facility to take images from the ground. So really, we're always looking at different ways that we can be capturing this data and information from the site so that our team can do what they need to do.
There's more and more equipment that's allowing you to do this without GPS, right? So, I mean, you can do it between buildings, and there could be a canopy of trees where you couldn't do it before, right?
Yep. Yeah. We just talked to the team in India, and they have like essentially a backpack that allows you to fly these without having like great GPS connection. So
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So we're looking into that right now too. But yeah.
So what I envision that because of that technology, if it's developed right and it gets smaller and smaller, I believe you're going to have drones. Like we're in Pipeview America, we have robots that travel in pipe everywhere, right? Fast, expensive camera robots, right?
Yep.
I believe eventually it's going to be a bumblebee drone that's going to fly right through these pipes with cameras on it that can go through any size pipe super fast, flying like a bumblebee.
Man, crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's constantly improving.
What we see today is going to be outdated. It's going to be like, remember we used to use those $200,000 robot cameras? Right?
They do have one that I'm looking into. It's a drone that's like in a ball protective cage. Almost, right? Yeah, it's like a cage, and the drone's inside, and basically so it can it'll hit the wall, or it's like for confined spaces, and I mean it could fly into you and it'll just kind of like roll off of you, right? It just keeps on going, so it's like kind of rolling through
like a bumper car.
Yeah, similer to that.
Hit something, doesn't hurt it.
So that's for confined spaces, interiors, potentially pipe televising, stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, I have some true takeaways from your man right here. Some Quinton true takeaways for you guys. So Austin gave you all some amazing golden nuggets that I hope you're ready for. So one, surround yourself with good people. Okay, I've always heard that before. You are who you associate with, right? And you're the average of the 5 people you associate with the most and their income. So that was key. Don't focus on your weakness, but double down on your strengths. And that's huge, to be honest with you, because I think we've always been taught exactly when you said that, try to get good at your weaknesses, but if your weaknesses are not necessarily anywhere you need to be at, double down on your strengths and become better, and just probably find somebody who can do that, like you said. One other thing, never minimize the value of a good relationship, which is extremely huge, from that perspective. Find someone who can be an internal advocate for your business. My friends, that is huge. If you can find somebody who can promote you better than you can promote yourself.
Within the company.
You got to sell. I mean, that's huge. And then for everyone out there, understand, to people, this may be an Austinism. Today, people like more of a blend, when it comes to work-life balance. and that's huge. But I think with the biggest nugget of all, make sure you call him Austin. And not Gary, all right?
My grandpa calls me Gary. He makes sure to always call me Gary.
So make sure you call him
That's always his
Austin.
voicemail. Is change your voicemail. It's Gary, not Austin.
He's not calling you Junior.
Yeah.
Junior.
But more importantly than anything, Austin, I mean, I've been here for 5 years. I respect your dad a ton, and to see what you're doing, and like I said, now I have a little one. I'm so excited for what you're putting down and what you're creating, and I just can't wait to have my little man do something just like you're doing. You know what I mean? Validating your dad, but more importantly, leave your own legacy. So kudos.
Wait, and now we gotta say congratulations to our buddy for having a baby boy.
Yeah, man.
Only a month ago.
Appreciate it.
Can you just a little bit about him? Just give us a couple minutes about him.
Yeah, so he's lighter than me and my wife, which is one from that perspective. He was actually born, like me and my wife were born 7 pounds each. He's actually was born 9 pounds. Out the womb, extremely solid. You talking about athlete, and he's already has these big, huge legs on him, so I can't wait for you to see him. And he does have my personality, but people say he looks like my wife. We don't know yet. She says he looks like her. I don't know. I don't think
Wait,
so.
how do you know the personality is yours in a month? Now, was he he drools like you?
No.
He spits up like you?
No, he sleeps like her. Like, that's where all the drooling stuff comes in at. So,
okay, well, the personality. How's the personality? Like
because he goes after what he wants.
Right.
So he only cries when he wants something. I guess that's a guy thing. When you're a baby, you only
you're like that. You cry only when you want. You don't cry that much. Only when you want something.
Only when I want something.
Often.
Absolutely. But he's really persistent too, and he has the eyes and things like that. So no, can't wait for you to see him. I know you've been in India, so I can't wait for you all in the Rabine family to see the extended family that you all have created. But he's a good dude.
I can't believe one of the nuggets wasn't that Austin and I are criers when we get pulled over. It works almost all the time. What's with that?
That is a good lesson to learn.
That's a good lesson to learn. I'll need to add that. Let's edit that, Chris, and put that in there. So, but no, I appreciate your time.
No,
man.
thank you guys.
I know you're really busy. So
no, thanks.
Yeah,
appreciate
it's
it.
It's an honor to have my boy, on this, and he's a guy that, again, probably is in the top. There's not a lot of people in the space. He's in the top echelon of the space right now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
He's got a lot of growth and a lot of opportunity ahead of him. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, my boy.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll see you all next time on Ditch Diggers CEO.
See ya!